Hello, in this video, we are going to teach you how to make a
bow and arrow
from bamboo. Now that we are at a bamboo forest, we are going to start getting some of our materials. This design of a bamboo bow and arrow, you're gonna need a saw, sort of like this, which will work for cutting down a stalk of bamboo. You're gonna need some sharp pliers for cutting off some thinner pieces of bamboo, and you're finally gonna need a handsaw for doing some finer cuts, and perhaps a knife.
You want to get a kind of thick piece of bamboo, like about maybe 1 inch to 2 inches for the actual bending part. And then you'll need a few tiny little thin bits for the arrows. And then you'll need string and all the tools Gus mentioned. Now, for cutting the thick pieces, make sure, even if you get like close to the end, make sure not to break it, because then it can start to peel and it'll look really weird. And it'll just like mess up the whole entire.
And it will increase the chances of your bow snapping in use.
It takes a little while, but it'll be worth it.
Just try and twist it.
There you go. See, there's these little tiny like bits.
But
But
don't
you can just break them off
don't peel them off.
if you're careful.
Chop them.
Chop them. Or use your tiny plier cutters. We
Yeah.
probably should have done that, but Martin already went.
And
And now you have this. So, now, Gus, can we have the wire cutters? All right, now, find a section of the bamboo
if
that
you
you
don't
think
have
is good.
pliers, you can just start doing this.
Remember, the longer the strip of bamboo is, the more bendable it'll be, which affects many factors, like shooting speed and all that.
If you don't,
So,
if you
if
don't,
you get a really long piece, you'll need to tie the string really tight.
if you don't have pliers, just do this.
It's a little dangerous. I'd rather use the pliers because then you can get a clean cut.
Of course, trim it down after.
So here is one of the arrows that we'll use. We'll cut it later, but that's one of the raw arrows.
All we really did to find it is we found a piece of bamboo sort of like this or like this one
and
right
just like
here.
get all these.
And we cut
little-
it, and then
cut,
we got all
cut
the
all of
extra
these little bits
branches.
off, and then
Using your pliers, it's quite easy to do this. So, there you go. There's the first part of your bamboo.
so feel free to cut it whenever. Just remember, the shorter the bow, the looser you can tie the string. But we'll get to that later.
The longer the bow, it's more flexible, so it's less easy to break.
Now that you have a nice big and pretty thick stick for your main bow, and you have at least 2 Or maybe you can do one, but if you lose it, you'll have to make another.
I made a thick arrow so it's not as flimsy when it hits something.
I have a thin and a thick and a short and a long one. So that will give us different powers. And so now I think it's time we can leave the forest. Now that you're back from the forest, or you might still be in the forest depending on what you wanted to do, you can trim your bamboo to be the length you want it to be, and you can get rid of all these imperfect cuts.
You want it to be about maybe that
just cut
long.
out the imperfect cuts.
You want it to maybe be about that long so it's more flexible. You'll be able to launch your arrows a lot farther. Now we're gonna show you how to split it so it'll be more flexible and you can bend it back farther.
Of course, there are many other ways you can split it because this isn't the safest way and best way to on your power tools, but we're gonna do it like this.
So, first off, you're gonna need a saw and a brick.
Or a big rock or something like that. Doesn't necessarily have to be.
You might need a pretty heavy. You could use a pretty heavy one. Like this looks big, but it's not that heavy. Second. And then you might want to do that again a couple of times. After you make it a bit thin, you might want to bend it a few times so that it won't break.
So it'll stretch out and become more bendable.
Then you might want to make a little like triangle right here and a triangle right here to wrap your string around, and then you might want to do it on the other side too.
Also, tip, make sure that the white part of the bamboo is facing towards you when you tie the string on, because that gives it more like durability so it won't break easily. Now that we have slits or some kind of thing that will hold the string in place like this, or it might be hard to see, but as you can see we have slits on these, you can get ready to string your bow. In order to string your bow, you're gonna want a piece of string that isn't too long. It has to be a little bit shorter than your bow, so I would probably say...
Also, you can use scissors for cutting it because it's probably way easier.
It is.
2 hours later.
So, in the meantime, Gus tied all the strings on.
It looks like this when you're done.
Yeah. That just went like everywhere. Alright. So yeah, that's how you build a cross, or how to build a bow.
That, guys, is how to make a bamboo bow and arrow from a bamboo forest. Thanks for watching. Bye!